The least amount of respect you get is from the older generation.
They deserve respect, but they don't give it.
They've got no respect. They think everything's for free.
We seem a bit weaker, this generation.
Get called lazy because we haven't got a house by the time we're 22.
You don't have to get on a property ladder.
I think it's all part of a globalist left-wing movement. In a sense, I'd say they're trying to mess up society.
There seems to be a rift within society that's a tale as old as time. Old people seem to hate younger people. The internet, social media, self-checkouts, Meghan Markle, avocados and vegans are just some of the things that seem to really get under their skin. Boomers had it tough and the Gen Z/millennials have never had it so easy. So we've hit the streets to see how they really feel about each other.
I mean, there's been a lot of press and moaning about the young generations now being entitled and being lazy. And part of that seems true and some of it doesn't, but they've inherited a shit show.
I think a lot of them are immature and they look at too many different things, and a lot of it, as Donald Trump says, is fake news.
Just the sheer hatred they have towards younger people.
Complain a lot about a lack of respect for the older generation, where like I've done like customer service jobs and stuff
We
like that.
work in hospitality together, and the least amount of respect you get is from the older generation, without doubt. They almost like forget that you're just a human. Yeah. Whereas when you serve people your age, they like understand and they talk to you from like a peer level. Yeah. Whereas if you're serving someone older, it's like just looking down on you.
They've got no respect.
Why?
Where they're brought up, they think everything's for free. The work ethic and respect has gone right out the window, unfortunately.
Respect us. We're not these horrible little street dwellers who are getting around wasting money.
Yeah.
Some are, don't get me wrong, but most of us aren't.
I feel like we suffer more stress than maybe older generations when they had more money to actually just forget about things and put things off to the side. I feel like we face a lot of our issues and we actually deal with them, which sometimes makes us look like we're having an easier time of it, but that's actually because we've like faced stuff, like talking about emotions and stuff.
Yeah, I think we seem a bit weaker, this generation. Yeah. I don't really know why that is, but I think it is probably true. A lot of allergies.
A lot weaker.
You think so?
A lot weaker, yeah.
Why is that?
Well, you just have to look at the footballers, don't you? You know, if they get fouled, they just go over like they've been shot, don't they? So.
But that represents kind of.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Cowards.
Old generation, they literally had to go out, work, labour. But nowadays, it's easier for the younger generation to make money via like TikTok, Instagram, just.
They complain a lot about young people being lazy. Yeah. I mean, we just did a media law exam this morning, which we had been studying hard for, but we'll still get called lazy because we haven't got a house by the time we're 22.
One thing that's a huge issue for young people is housing. In 1980, almost half of 18 to 34-year-olds in Britain and America lived in their own property with children of their own, making this the most common arrangement for young adults. Today that's true for only 1 in 5, and the most common setup for 18 to 34-year-olds now is to be living with their parents. So what's the answer?
Years ago, I mean, you did have to save, and you know, a lot of people just buy coffees and that as a matter of course. They go to work, they buy take-away coffee, take-away lunch and things like that. I mean, I can remember I used to take my own sandwiches and take a flask, things like that.
Wealth has gone up. You could argue and say it's not, but it definitely has if you go back to the 70s when I was around as a kid. What kids get today and what they got then were two very different things.
We didn't have all this cost of coffees and things like that. I mean, quite honestly, what you're paying for a cup of coffee, £5, I don't know, whatever, but you can go home and put the kettle on, can't you?
Go to the young people who are single parents. They don't have avocado on toast. They'll probably be lucky if they get a piece of toast, never mind about avocado. So no, that's rubbish.
But that whole housing myth thing and getting on the housing ladder, that needs to change. It's like the one thing that you've got to be able to do is to buy a house. Well, look at things in a different way. But also, saying that, rents are at an all-time high, I think, now. So probably, housing.
So I'm just interested, what do you mean by look at things in a different way when it comes to getting on the property ladder? So
whether it's necessary to actually be on the property ladder and give yourselves a break, enjoy your life when you're young. I mean, you don't have to get on a property ladder.
Well, housing clearly isn't at the top of the problem list for the older generation, so what are the real issues for them?
Definitely immigration. I think most Brits are very genuine on the immigration in the sense if somebody genuinely needs a safe place to come and we'll look after them until they either stay or they go home, back to the home country. But I think that the media has massively spread, and the reality of who is real and who isn't. And I think, realistically, I think that the majority of the immigration that come over are just using it to get over for their own reasons, not necessarily because they come from a war-torn country.
Yeah, the way they was pushing transgender ideology on children, I think that's wrong.
They spend all the time on social media.
Telephones, mobile phones.
Why?
They've never got the faces out of them. They don't know how to communicate with people.
I think it's all part of a sort of globalist left-wing movement, trying to, in a sense, I'd say they're trying to mess up society, so they can then claim they're trying to heal it once it's all messed up. That's my view.
Worry about climate change.
First of all, they need to reinvigorate democracy and get involved with it, because without democracy you can't do anything. Secondly, they need to sort out the mess that we've bequeathed them on climate change, because it is a mess, and they need to get into sustainability. So the way to do that is not to cart from the sidelines. Basically the way to do that is to take control, which you can do with democracy. So it's the young people just need to get involved, because we've screwed the world up for you. You've got to sort it out, I'm afraid.
From what I can gather, young people obviously are concerned about the economy, they're concerned about their future, concerned about education, concerned about what jobs they will or won't get and what careers they will have. These are presumably the sorts of things. Whether they go into the more philosophical and deeper things that maybe you do when you get a bit older, but it's very hard for me to say. I don't have children. I don't really come into contact with young people that much.